What is happening, YouTube? It's Mr. Chillout here, and on this week's video I'm going to be taking a trip down memory lane and counting down the top 10 things I miss about the Halo series. Halo for me had such a massive impact on my childhood and an impact on me as a gamer in general. This was one of the very first SPS games I actually fell in love with, not only because of the game mechanics, but also because of the immersive campaign to go with it. And once you had completed the campaign, you had a nice healthy online multiplayer to sink your teeth into. The newer games have been given a lot of stick about staying true to the original series. I have come from the era of seeing the original series evolve into what it is now, and here's a few things that I miss personally about the Halo series.
10.
To begin the list off, at the number 10 spot is something that's included in the game these days, but for me it was the primitive side of clans that made it so much more fun. I remember getting message after message after having an amazing game from some clan minion asking if I wanted to join their little clan. Back in the day, to be accepted into the fold of the most amazing clan run by a 10-year-old, you had to have the greatest game of your life, be fluent in trash talk, change your tag to the suitable clan, and then play shitloads of custom games. For a while, I was actually part of the KSI clan. Shout out to the KSI clan, bruh, bruh. But obviously, I got bored of that shit. All them custom games and all the fucking politics involved in listening to your general, listening to your leader. It's just fucking stupid. He did have some perks, like he did get some good teammates to go out and play with, so that is why I put it at the number 10 mark.
9.
Coming in at the number 9 spot is something I have seen steadily decline over the years, but it was one thing that made Halo such a great game for me back in the early days, and that was the passion of all the other gamers that would be playing with you. And it was obviously always spill out with the trash talking, the teabagging, and rubbing your enemy's face in it when you killed them. It was like, after a game you'd get messages, or you would send messages, it was just what you did. I don't know whether it was because Xbox Live back then was such a young thing that people used it to be a little bit of a keyboard warrior and just basically be the original trolls. Like now YouTubers, like there's loads of them out there that troll other gamers and all the rest of it. And now you talk on a microphone, you get called every name under the sun, and basically people just mute you because they can't be bothered to listen to you. It isn't the same atmosphere that it was, and I think that's something that's lacking in the Halo community now. It doesn't feel so much of a Halo community as it once did.
8.
Coming in at number 8 spot is the ultimate test of skill and ability, and that was the 1v1 challenge from a raging sore loser, normally a 10-year-old, I'm not gonna lie. Now we've all been there where you've come out of the game of your life, 25 plus kills, 3 deaths, feeling like an absolute Halo legend, and that one player of the enemy team who was dead last, basically can't play the game, has the audacity to message you saying that you're cheating, you have aimbot, you're lagging, and all the rest of that shit that goes with it. Basically puts out the 1v1 challenge, bro. Which ultimately results in them getting absolutely smashed to fuck by you because you were the better player in the first place, but they just didn't want to admit it. Coming back at you with the same excuses, saying it's lag, your aimbot, you're cheating, this, that and the other, and they just don't want to admit the fact that they're so shit at the game that they can't play the game, so they just fucking send you all these messages. But that was part of Halo, and for me, just part of first person shooters. And the one thing I actually do like is when they do get that one kill on you after you're on an absolutely beast running riot, they teabag you because they've just stopped your running riot and killed you once. I say bravo, well done old chap.
7.
Coming in at the number 7 spot, and it's something that was a staple part of Halo 2 and 3 for me, and one of my all-time favourite game types, and it was the Snipers playlist. Now, I don't understand why it was dropped from Halo 5, and it's only put in every now and again as a weekend playlist. Even though it hasn't got the greatest of followings, it still has a following, and the fans of it are getting neglected without having it as part of a playlist. Why would you drop a playlist that was a lot of fun and people like to play it? I mean, this is where I learnt my craft of headshotting, and back in the day I had a nice hefty level 45 in snipers, equivalent of about an Onyx in today's Halo 5 game. But they don't have that in Halo 5. It's just like you can't even boast that you're good with a sniper. Like SWAT is still there. Snipers was for me just so much fun. But not just snipers as well. There was other game types that have been dropped from the Halo 5 playlist. One of them being Oddball. Oddball was amazing for Team Arena. Yet you don't get to play it. You get Strongholds, you get Slayer, and you get Capture the Flag. But there isn't no Oddball. And Oddball was a lot of fun. Just having someone held up in a room, grenades going off everywhere, just everyone piling in. It caused for mayhem. But they don't have it anymore. It doesn't make any sense to me why they would drop it. And like I say, I know that these game types don't have a massive following, but they still do have a following, and the fans of them specific playlists feel neglected, and you're going to start to lose your fans that way. Just food for thought.
6.
Coming in at the number 6 spot is something I spent so much of my time doing, and it's split into 2 segments. The first being the super bounce phenomenon, and the second being grenade jump and little glitches, I guess you could call them, to get out of the map or get into areas you shouldn't get to. Now, we all know that the old Halo games were a bit glitchy, and they weren't perfect, and far from it, but still a learning curve for Bungie and the video game industry. But there was this thing called the super bounce. It was a glitch with the frame rate, and if you hit a certain spot of the map after doing a crouch or a specific action, you'd be shot 300 foot into the air, and you could normally get onto a tower you shouldn't be able to get onto, or get out of the map. You could then either snipe from up there or get the oddball up there and just sit there and clock up some time. So people, like, literally, they built themselves up around super bouncing because they was that good at it. And that's what they used to do, just private match, super bounce, super bounce, super bounce. You'd even get messages from randomers, just like, do you want to come over and do some super bounces with me? Oh, okay, let's go and learn some. Once you had the super bounces in your repertoire, you also learn the grenade bounce, which was quite simple. You'd throw a grenade on the floor, and right before it exploded, you'd jump, and the explosion would send you up further into the air. That mixed with a crouch, you could get to areas that you shouldn't be able to get to on a map. If done well, you could actually get out of the map. It was always handy to know these little tricks, just in case you ever had to pull it out and do a surprise on someone, or get somewhere just to hide from someone. It was handy to annoy the fuck out of people as well. Done it so many times. You get the oddball, get your friend to throw down a grenade and get out the map, or hide in a place that you shouldn't be able to get to. And people lost their shit because they couldn't find you. And yeah, don't get me wrong, you used to get messages saying you're cheating, but it was fun at the end of the day. And that's what gaming is, isn't it? Fun.
5.
Coming in at the number 5 spot is something for me which I was so excited when I picked up a new Halo game, and that was completing the campaign. It was always like, oh, I wonder what they've added into the campaign, or how they're going to make this one work. Where's the story going to go? It was like the greatest film you could think of, but you was playing it. So you was actually in the story. Felt like the story was part of you as you was controlling the Master Chief running around. But even when they brought out Halo 3 ODST, it expanded on the story that you already loved and already knew, and put you into the boots of an ODST trooper. It was amazing. You felt the difference in strength when you was meleeing an enemy 2 times before his shield was down, because they wasn't quite as strong as the Spartans were. And even when I was playing Halo Reach, in the last mission, you're just like, spoiler alert, you're just basically surviving for as long as you can. And I actually spent ages on that map just seeing how long I could survive, but the inevitable happened. You're gonna die on it, and there's no two ways about it. And it's quite sad when you get that last cutscene and you feel like the Spartan you've worked so hard to get to where you are being taken away from you. It was so immersive, just amazing. Obviously you had the expanded universe with the books and the animes and the comics, but it was the games which made the backbone for everything. It was all about the games.
4.
So coming in at the number 4 spot is something I'm about to really badly butcher, but I've got to do it, and that is the music for Halo. There was nothing quite like hearing the as you started up that game, and it kind of made you have goose pimples just from hearing it. But then when you was in the campaign and the mission, the scores that went with all the missions just complemented the gameplay so well and made you fully immersed in the story and what was happening around. It wasn't all about hearing grenades go off and the guns shooting off. It was more like a story being told through the music. just really pleasant for your ears to hear, and I think this is what lacks in the newer games. You just don't feel as immersed in the story. I don't know whether it's the actual story itself mixed with the music, or the feel of the music that makes you feel at one with the game.
3.
Coming in at number 3 spot is the most classic form of playing any computer game, and kids these days don't know the excitement of number 1, a LAN match, and 2, split screen. Halo 5 got shipped without even a split screen option, so you couldn't even sit there and play with your friends around your own house. You just couldn't do it. Everything was online, so without the internet you couldn't do anything. For me, back when I was a kid, we used to go around to a pal's house and get 2 consoles on the go. One team would be on one console, another team on the other console. So you had split screen on each console, but then them two would be playing each other through your local area network, like the cable through the back, the Ethernet cable. Some of the finest moments of gaming with pals was done through LAN matches. It was just so much fun hearing them screaming from the front room or the back room, and then you screaming at them. It all got really heated, and mates being mates, it's just so much trash talking, just shouting at each other. And like now, you have to sit in your own house and do it. You don't get the social side of being with your friends in a house doing it. You have to be in your house doing it, or you pass the controller around. How can you have a game which fundamentally is all about the multiplayer side of it without having the capabilities of being able to do multiplayer within your own house? Like, that was one of the biggest selling points. You used to use that to show people how cool Halo was, but now you don't get that. Why did they even take it out? It's just lost a massive chunk of the game through stupidity, I guess.
2.
Coming in at number 2 spot was one thing that I really loved about the old Halo games, and that was the unlockable armors. Now, I know you're all sat there thinking there's still unlockable armors and all the rest of it, but there was a big difference in how you get the actual armor. So now you get credits, and the more you play the game, the more likely you are to unlock all of the armors without actually trying, just because the more time you spend, the more credits you get. Whereas back in the day, you actually had to do specific achievements to unlock certain types of armor, which made it that much more greater when you saw it on the battlefield, or if someone saw it on you on the battlefield. And I believe this was good for 2 reasons. One, it got people talking within the actual game. They was like, dude, your armor's sick, like, where'd you get it, how'd you get it, and you'd explain, and chances are you go into a party and you start doing stuff together. And the other side of it was forums used to light up with people's theories on how you got certain armors, because some armors were so hidden that no one knew how they got it. Like, I remember back when they had the Bungie flame helmet, and for months people speculated how it was got, but it was actually given to you by Bungie. Little things like that, I thought, brought the community together. The newer games really do lack that, and taken away the community from playing the game. Now everyone bitches and moans about the game becoming such a pay to win sort of game, especially with the Warzone rec packs, and it's annoyed a lot of the community. Now you look at someone's armor and you go, oh, that's alright, I'll probably just get in a rec pack on a later date. Wowee.
1.
So the moment you've all been waiting for, the number 1 spot. And this, to me, is arguably one of the finest maps of all time in all of the Halos. And you may be thinking why I've selected just one map to top this whole list. But for me, Lockout has memories in abundance. Every 1v1 challenge that got thrown your way was settled on this battleground, and so many times have I played matches with my friends and other gamers from across the world. The closest ones were on this map. Mastering the super bounce on this map made you an oddball legend. Just sat on top of that tower, not being able to get hit, it made it interesting. And then also you had to learn all of the cheeky little jumps to traverse the 3 levels, from jumping off of one tower and landing on the levels below, but people thinking you're jumping off the map, and it gave you that chance to get away from them, or doing a surprise attack because you jumped over a certain ledge that someone didn't think you could get to. You had the rooms and the areas where the shotgun dominated. Close quarter combat was its forte, but at the same time you had nice long sight lines from tower to tower, and in the corridors below where the sniper absolutely reigned supreme. So it had everything you needed for a map. Since Lockout, I don't think there's been a map that's been this fine and stuck around in my memories for that long. So that is why Lockout had to top the list. And that's all I've got time for this week. That is the 10 things that I miss the most about the Halo series. Now, I may not have touched on everything, If you've got any other opinions you want to put in below, leave a comment. If the video tickled your fancy, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to caress that subscribe button to keep up to date with all my new content coming out every week. And until next time, laters.